The morning it happened, I thought it was just another stiff sunrise. I opened my eyes, swung my legs over the side of the bed, and tried to stand. But my knees, they gave out completely. There was no warning, no sharp pain, just this strange, hollow weakness, as if my bones had turned to paper overnight. I sat there on the floor, heart racing, staring at my trembling legs. Linda rushed in from the kitchen, panic in her voice. "John, what happened?" I tried to smile, to brush it off. "Guess I slept wrong," I said, even though I knew something deeper was wrong. I spent the rest of that day in bed, feeling embarrassed, fragile, old. I'd been a builder for 30 years, strong hands, strong back. I never imagined my own body could betray me like this. But that morning was the first time I felt truly afraid of aging. That evening, Linda convinced me to see a doctor. At the clinic, Dr. Hayes, a calm, gray-haired man with gentle eyes, listened as I described the weakness, the dull ache that followed. He asked about my diet, my routine, my medications. Then he said something I'll never forget. "John, your bones may be starving, and you don't even know it." I frowned. "Starving? I eat fine. Oatmeal, toast, a bit of coffee." He sighed softly. "That's the problem. You're feeding your stomach, not your bones." I didn't understand what he meant. Not yet. But that was the beginning of a journey that would change everything I thought I knew about aging. That night, lying awake beside Linda, I felt a deep fear I couldn't shake. If my bones could just stop supporting me, what would go next? I promised myself one thing before falling asleep. I'd find out what was happening inside me, no matter what it took.
For more real stories of pain, truth, and redemption, subscribe now and hit the bell icon. Your support keeps these voices alive.
The next morning, I went for tests, blood work, x-rays, even a bone density scan. They slid me into a cold machine that hummed like an old refrigerator. As I lay there, I couldn't help thinking, when did I become this fragile version of myself? Just a few years ago, I was carrying lumber and lifting beams. Now I was struggling just to stand. Later that week, I sat across from Dr. Hayes again, waiting for the results. He looked serious, but calm. The kind of look doctors give when they're about to change your life with one sentence. He said softly, "John, your bones are weaker than they should be. You have early-stage osteoporosis." The word hit me like a hammer. Osteoporosis? That was something women got, not men like me, right? Dr. Hayes shook his head gently. "That's a common myth. Men get it too, especially after 60. And the worst part is, most don't even know until a fall or fracture happens." I leaned back, stunned. "But how? I don't smoke. I don't drink. I eat okay." He nodded. "You eat okay, but you're missing what your bones need most." He pulled out a chart, a simple drawing of a bone full of little holes. "Your bones aren't just hard sticks," he explained. "They're living tissue. They breathe, repair, and rebuild themselves every day. But after 60, the body stops sending enough nutrients to that repair crew. It's like the workers went on strike and no one noticed." I stared at that chart, realizing that all those mornings of coffee and toast had been silently robbing me. Dr. Hayes continued, "You're also low in protein. Without it, your body can't rebuild bone tissue properly." He paused. "It's not just what you eat, John. It's what you've stopped feeding your body with over the years." He leaned forward. "But here's the good news. Bones can rebuild. Slowly, but surely. You just have to give them the right message. And that message," he said, "starts with movement. I blinked. Movement? I can barely walk. He smiled. Exactly. That's where we begin. I left his office that day with a prescription for supplements, calcium citrate, vitamin D3, and something called K2. But more importantly, I left with a new kind of determination. This wasn't about getting old anymore. It was about taking back the body I'd ignored for too long.
For more real stories of pain, truth, and redemption, subscribe now and hit the bell icon. Your support keeps these voices alive.
When I first started physical therapy, I could barely lift my legs without shaking. My therapist, a young woman named Claire, looked at me kindly and said, "We'll start small. The goal isn't to move a lot, it's to move right." Those words stuck with me. Every morning, she made me do what she called bone-talking exercises, slow movements that told my body, "We're still alive down here." At first, it was just sitting in a chair and lifting my heels. Then came wall slides, gentle squats, a few resistance bands. It felt ridiculous at first, but something strange began to happen. After 2 weeks, my legs didn't feel as hollow. After a month, I could stand for longer without support. Claire smiled one morning and said, "See, bones respond to movement. When you stress them gently, they rebuild." I'd never thought of my bones as something that could listen, but now they were starting to speak back. I also changed my mornings completely. No more plain coffee and toast. Now I had scrambled eggs with spinach, a glass of milk, and sometimes a small bowl of Greek yogurt with almonds. It wasn't fancy, but it was fuel, real bone-building fuel. Dr. Hayes told me once, "John, strong bones aren't built in hospitals. They're built in kitchens, sunlight, and simple movement." I laughed at the time, but he was right. Every morning walk in the sun, every stretch, every meal became part of my recovery ritual. Then one morning, about 6 weeks later, I stood up from bed, slowly, carefully, and realized something beautiful. There was no wobble, no tremor, just strength, quiet, steady strength. I looked down at my legs and smiled. They had carried me for 68 years, and now I was finally learning to take care of them back. That moment wasn't just about standing again. It was about standing for myself. For every morning I took my body for granted. For every time I said, "I'm just getting old." Because getting old doesn't mean getting weaker. It means getting wiser about what keeps you strong.
A few months later, I returned to Dr. Hayes for a follow-up scan. He flipped through my results, then looked up with a wide grin. "John, your bone density has improved, not by a miracle, but by discipline." I laughed, relief washing over me like sunlight after a storm. For the first time in years, I felt solid. Dr. Hayes leaned back and said, "You see, the body never stops listening. We just stop speaking its language. Bones don't crumble overnight. They fade slowly when we forget to feed and challenge them. But the moment we start sending the right signals, sunlight, movement, real food, they respond." He explained that after 60, it's not just calcium that matters. It's the team behind it. Vitamin D for absorption, vitamin K2 to guide calcium into bones, protein to rebuild, and daily movement to keep it all alive. "It's like maintaining a house," he said. "You can't just add bricks. You need mortar, structure, and constant upkeep." I nodded, realizing that my body wasn't breaking down. It was simply asking for help. And I had finally decided to listen. Now, every morning, I walk with Linda down the same quiet street where I once feared falling. The air feels cleaner, the light warmer, the ground beneath me firmer, not just under my feet, but in my spirit. Each step reminds me that healing isn't about turning back time. It's about respecting the years you've lived. Sometimes people ask me, "John, what's your secret?" I smile and tell them, it's not a secret, it's a habit. Eat for your bones, move for your balance, rest for your strength, and believe, truly believe, that your body still wants to heal. Because the truth is simple. Bones may weaken with age, but they never stop fighting for you. And if you give them a reason to rebuild, they will. So if you're over 60 and waking up stiff, sore, or unsteady, don't ignore it. Your body isn't breaking. It's just whispering for attention. Listen closely, and you'll find the strength was never gone. It was just waiting to return. Because sometimes standing tall again isn't about luck or youth. It's about learning to rise, one careful step at a time.